we know that Tolkien and C.S. Lewis believed and taught that Christ is the true myth, and we know that Joseph Campbell, actually have his book somewhere here.
Hmm.
He wrote about this ultimate hero. So when we put all of this together, how can we say, how can we summarize these works, both from Joseph Campbell? I'm not sure that he was a Christian author, but still doesn't matter. How can we compare him and Tolkien and C.S. Lewis? And when it comes to this ultimate hero who's pointing to Christ, what is the conclusion that we can draw from this?
Go ahead.
Uh,
We're both chomping at the bit to go. Go ahead,
That's
Sean.
right. That's right. With C.S. Lewis, we see that he, in no uncertain terms, writes Christ into his story.
Yeah.
He said that Aslan is Christ, if Christ were to incarnate in a world like Narnia. Tolkien, not as much, but you do have Christ, the priest in Frodo. You have the king in Aragorn, and you have the prophet in Gandalf.
Hmm.
So we do see Christ uh, as the head of the story, the entire story of Tolkien, um, with uh, the idea of Christ being the true myth. I think that what's really important is we not lose the idea of the myth. If we just say these are brute facts and we're reading them off the page and they don't change us in any way,
Hmm.
they don't cause us to reflect and think, which is what myths do, then we've done a disservice to the Bible. We've done a disservice to our Christian tradition
Hmm.
by just saying these are facts, and then we treat it like a museum piece, or we don't reflect on it. It doesn't change us. I think that people, and in fact, C.S. Lewis said this in the myth become true in his essay, that there are people who are better served by thinking that the Christian religion is just a myth, but they reflect on it often, than people who think it's true, but they don't reflect on it at all.
Yes.
So we have to hold these two things to be true. Yes, it's true, but more importantly, it's a myth, and we need
Yeah.
to understand it as such.
Yeah.
Um,
The myth is
with
intended to transfer meaning. And if you're only
Yes,
looking at it as a textbook, you're only going to get facts. And facts don't change your life. It's
mhm,
it's the it's how you organize those facts and what that conclusion comes to. So I backing you up 100% on this one is that is so important that we don't lose that it is a
I think our brother froze.
oh no, he was backing me up too. I needed the help.
um, yeah, do you want to maybe finish until he's back?
Yeah, I would say with Joseph Campbell when he was writing the hero with a thousand faces. Um, One thing that he said that in every hero myth there's the monomyth, which is you have the call or the separation, then you have iteration and then return. And thinking about Christ, it'd be easy to say you have the call where he leaves the throne and comes down and incarnates. Um, and then, you have the iterations of him healing and casting out demons, and then the return of going back up to heaven after the cross. But um, Campbell says that the reason for the iterations was spiritually purifying the hero, getting him ready. Uh, but you couldn't say that of Christ. And when you look at what's happening in the scriptures. Like Campbell says, the first trial that you come to is the gatekeeper, right, or the guardian. When Jesus goes to be baptized by John, that's obviously a gatekeeper figure, right, like a guardian figure. Like he turns people away. Who told you to flee from the wrath of come or the wrath to come, right? So he's turning people away. And Jesus goes and says, I need to be baptized. And he's like, wait a minute, I need to be baptized by you. And so you have this figure that's the guardian, right? That is being challenged. And he's actually the one that ends up facing the challenge. the spiritual purification isn't happening in Christ, it's happening to everyone Christ encounters. And so instead of being the hero, which he is, but he's actually the story that's changing everyone around him. We talked about the heroes in the stories that have, this enchanted item, or this magical blessing that gets them through. But Christ was bestowing blessings on everyone he encountered. So he wasn't the one who needed something; he was the one who was freely giving it away. And I reflected on this, and I thought, this isn't just a story. This is an invitation, right? Everyone who interacted with Christ was changed, and so we can go on the same adventure. We can accept Christ in baptism, and we can be changed by him. We can be spiritually purified, sanctified in our life with Christ. And then we know that we can return home with him. And so I think that that's the adventure, right? That's the challenge. That's what the church has been saying for the last 2,000 years. The liturgy is based on baptism, chrismation, confirmation, and living a life being spiritually sanctified until that time where you go home. And even for that, they had last rites. The church was about the adventure, the myth.